Captain Foley and Commander Coggins here yet again for another Trek Yards mission briefing, and this week, an interesting one. But as you guys all know, this is the more relaxed discussion show. We take a ship of the Trek universe, could be anything, literally anything, even that one ship that one time that you can't remember, but we're going to do it. It's even that one ship. We discuss it, theorise, and ask for what you guys think, and then might go into the full episode later on down the line. So Stuart, what are we looking at today?
We are looking at a very awesome design.
Okay.
Done by a gentleman by the name of Douglas E. Graves.
Still don't know what it is. That's not enough clues for me.
It is one I've known about for a while. It's the Constitution class, but it's a 1.5 version. It's not quite the same as that one.
So this won't help me then?
No. It's kind of an upgraded version. It's an interesting take on the Connie, and I thought it'd be worth looking at on mission briefings. So,
as we know, you are the Connie guy.
Maybe not.
So this first picture then is a beautiful shot of it at warp, but I can't really see many differences. And I'm guessing this is to tease us for the later shots we get to see the differences.
Yeah, first of all, this guy does beautiful 3D artwork. This shot of it in warp is one of my favorite ones. I use it as my desktop wallpaper quite often. And yeah, there's really nothing different about it yet that you can see.
Well, all I can really think of is that it feels like there's more windows. There's more windows at the side. That feels different. There's now light. There's now illumination, self-illumination on the USS Enterprise bit.
Mm-hmm.
The nacelle of the facades are different. They're much more energized than the normal ones.
That's because it's at warp.
True. But I'm just saying. And that's really all I can see in this initial picture. And are there meant to be black stripes on the Connie for the struts? Because there's internal ones, but there's not lines on.
Yeah, no, there's not supposed to be. Those are very reminiscent of the refit.
Because I think what we personally believe is that there's the Connie, there's the, I suppose, the actual 1.5, which is the Phase 2, which is the new nacelles, and then there's the full refit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is if the Phase 2 is 2, and then the refit is refit, then this is the 1.5. And let's see.
Yes, or this is just a different take on the TOS one, how it would look a little bit better and movie quality if there was a movie.
So an alternate JJ, as it were.
Yes, maybe. Next picture, and they're very subtle, but eventually they start to pop out at you.
I think it's one of those things where the audience, let's see what you notice before we say it, sort of thing. Shout out the screen now. What do you see?
You're right.
Yep. No,
you're an idiot.
Yep.
Just quiet.
Yep. Okay, Stuart. So, should I tell you what I see, or should we just go straight into it? Just list off a few things.
Well, you list off one, then I'll list off another, and do it that way.
Okay. Well, I see the just like in the D and the refit, there's now an NCC 1701 a back of the saucer, which I think is an odd. It changes the feel of the saucer a little bit, but that it's also being lit. So there's a new registration on it.
Okay. There's also a blue impulse crystal, which is a nice
very small one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. You've got new. No, they're on the old one. I've obviously got the model here. The hull's different. There's Aztecing, for one, which there is in the Defiant version. So obviously this is the refit of that refit, but Aztecing, which is technically an upgrade. Oh, it's now got full phaser ball turrets, just like the refit.
Yes, it does. It also, the whole texturing is very reminiscent of the refit, as is the registry number. It's a little bit different font.
Yep.
It's basically the refit registry without the pinstriping around it.
Yes,
it's a different font than the TOS. Yep.
And on this Connie, the Enterprise is flat. This one it's pulled round, which does change it.
Just like the refit, yeah.
I feel like it's got more lights.
Yeah, this one's self-illuminated with the spotlights.
But not just that, but I mean it's got you see the 4 rectangles of light on the saucer, which I can see mine does have, although you don't really get to see that in the show, I don't think. But it's also got the small little lights on the edge of all that. You've got a little flashing white at the front of the saucer. That's not on the main Connie, I believe. You've got 2 lights either side of the neck, which doesn't have, and it just feels very alive.
It's got refit lighting, basically.
Yes.
Everywhere that the refit would have lighting, this does. Which, out in space, you'd want that for your registry and stuff. And I think if this was on the big screen, you'd want that.
I think this would look amazing on the big screen. 1080p full screen would look really nice.
Another thing that's changed, if you notice right on the upper part of the secondary hull there, those little triangles, or not triangles, rectangles, black, those are actually like reaction control thrusters to move the ship forward
Okay.
Instead of using impulse, it's just for very slow maneuvering.
Which would also imply those triangles on the edge of the saucer are also reaction control thrusters.
Yeah, that's another thing that's reminiscent of the refit as well. So,
but I do certainly like the new lighting setup, all the different flashing nav lights and stuff. It really adds something to it. And you can sort of see, and this is probably just a part of how it's rendered, but the Bassards now look like a two-piece. You got the out. It's not just the one big thing. It's now an outer layer of shell with an inner layer of Bassardiness.
A lot of TOS Connies are like that.
Yeah,
I see it. Another thing to notice too is the navigation dome on the back there above the shuttle bay. There's a phaser on each side of it, single ball turret phaser.
Which makes sense. Aft phasers, you need to have them. Mm-hmm. I do feel like there's definitely more. Well, I don't know, because again, in TOS you really don't get to see this much detail ever, because that's not what it was done for the remastered. Mm-hmm. So all those lights, all those rooms on the bottom of the part of the bridge module, I mean, it makes it feel so much more alive that the original just never did. So I would call those new, but obviously it's in the original. But
yeah, and if you notice too, it does say TOS 5.2.
Yeah, well, it's an iteration of his own work, isn't it?
And the thing is too, if I ever do another 350 scale TOS Connie build, I'm going to do a version 1.5 of mine. I'm going to upgrade it with these kind of subtle details. Mm-hmm. I put an impulse crystal in. I want more detailing on the hull, better lighting, things like that. So I'm going to incorporate that into my next build.
This is the sort of stuff though that if the motion picture had come first, then but they knew the concept for the original. They then go back and make the original for the movie. If it had gone back on a prequel movie, TOS era, then you would have had these subtle changes just to make it, live up to the detail of the big screen. We never got to see the Connie on the big screen.
I know, as much as I would love to.
Yeah, but the next picture, oh god, even more detailed.
Yeah. First thing I noticed right offhand is the 360 phasers on the bottom. There's 4 of them, which can fire in like 360 arc.
What do you? Oh, on the bottom, yeah, next to the is that ejection for the warp core? Well, no, it is.
Those are different things. You see them launch probes and stuff. They all have different functions. So.
And those phases are on the refit, I believe. Those. So it's got a hell of a lot of firing arc. Again, way more lights in the saucer. Does the Connie have that many? Yeah, it does have that many rings of black on the bottom.
Yeah, it does.
It's got no, the Connie has that too. Damn it! I'm like, it's got these details, but no, the real one has it.
It's got 2 photon torpedo launchers on the bottom of the hull there, on the bottom of the saucer.
Cool, actual tubes where they sort of are in the show, but they're not really.
Yeah, you never really know where they come from, but yeah,
they're just sort of holes. But yeah, and it does the whole thing have more pinstriping in general, or is that just me?
The red pinstriping is exactly like it is on the TOS.
Okay. Just feels more. I think it's just that full extra upgrade detail. And are those black parts next to the Bassards there on the Connie? Because again, I don't.
That's just the way it's angled. It's just the lane.
Okay.
But yeah, those 3 little things are on the bottom. Yeah. So that's about it for the bottom.
Okay.
Well, besides the phaser turrets again, but if we move on to the next picture, it's the fore and aft views. One of the first things I notice, of course, is the rear of the nacelles.
Yes.
That are lit up with which I always liked. A few model builders I've seen have done that, and it adds something to the back of the ship that really I think it needs.
Yeah, that's not a refit detail or a phase 2 detail. That's more of a it makes sense detail.
Yeah.
Redconning, as it were, which is very reminiscent of then its detail for the deflector dish, which also has a orange ring around the copper deflector dish, which is another push towards the phase 2, which is all thing. So would you then possibly theorize that's the deflector portion, and then the other one's the deflector dish? So one's like navigational deflector ring, and one's the deflector dish, different purposes. So one's like the casual protect you from space matter, the other one's actually the sensor dish.
I don't know. That's a good question. I do know that a few of the versions I've seen have different glows behind those rings. It can be blue, or it can go to the yellow, like you see in station keeping on the refit. So
I like this color.
It's a nice tie-in of that. So.
Yeah. Now you mentioned we both mentioned that the Bassards are different. Now they're not at warp at this point, so I think that is an artistic choice.
Well, Vizards are kind of one of those things that I've seen them like this before on just a regular TOS Connie as well, a few times.
Because we know the real TOS Connie, thanks to Steve Neal, it was reflected light from a piece of glass that was a different colour, and it would be green and blue and random and stuff. And this is obviously just orange, arcing electricity almost.
Yeah, yeah. So
feels more energized. It feels like it's a refit, like it's more powerful, less. I think I do miss the colours though. Interestingly enough, I like the different shades, but it does feel like it's been supercharged a little bit. 0.5 as it were.
And then the other thing you noticed too was the front of the struts and the back have those black parts now. The original Connie didn't have those. Yeah. So.
And again, self-illumination looks really, really good. The whole thing. And having the both deflector domes fully lit with all the lights in between, it really gives it. It makes it feel bigger and more 3D. I think having all that rooms being lit up and there's slight different colours in them. Like I can see little black somethings in some of them. I think he might have put some small interiors. It's interesting.
Yeah, it makes the ship pop, brings it to life, and makes it feel much more realistic. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so let's go on to the next picture, which is the shot of the side, and there you see some of the classic refit lighting, especially on the bottom of the neck where it's pointing up. The different spotlights and stuff, and the registry number is lit up on the side of the engine also, which looks nice.
Yeah, it's a nice detail. Anything else that's sort of brand new? I was about to say, is the neck angle slightly different? Because that neck looks kind of odd to me.
No, it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Well, the only thing is it has a docking port on the neck, which doesn't have to.
It does.
Which is not on the original one.
Yes.
And there's reaction control thrusters on the front part of the secondary hull there as well. Same as on the refit by the deflector dish. So
it's cool. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and I like the deflector grid on the side of the secondary hull there. I think that's one thing that the original Enterprise was really lacking, was any kind of detail on the secondary hull. This does have the numbers that are on the TOS ship. But I think the addition of the grid really makes it pop for me, and I like that a lot.
Well, the whole thing pops. And while we all love the TOS Connie simplicity, this feels like they put the patterning at like 11% opacity. Like it's so subtle, but it's that different shades. Like it really adds something to it.
Like cool. This, I would love to see this on the big screen. That would just be my dream come true.
This would be really nice. Suffice to say. Yeah. But yeah, on to the next picture, which has some details. Probably all roughly the same, but
so crew 450, which is right.
I think the only difference really is here is the 6 twin bank phaser emitters, primary hull, 6 single bank phaser emitters. Okay, so single ball turrets, and then 2 photon torpedo launchers, primary hull. So no aft torpedoes, unlike the Defiant.
Maximum speed 7, cruising speed would be 7. Maximum emergency speed would be 9, which is TOS scale, of course.
It's pretty standard stuff. It's only really weapons that had changed, but yeah, I mean, just there's so much more detail that pops now, and those ball turrets do work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that the TOS Enterprise really needed, was visible weapons placements. Yes. Now the reason it doesn't have it is, of course, Gene Roddenberry's vision was that they were peaceful, so they were
despite being a Cold War for the entire series. But I mean,
they were. So the weapons and placements were hidden so that the ship didn't look like a threat. That's why you never really have a feel for where the things come from, which is always a sticky point for me. But I don't know. I think the visible turrets are, that alone, if that was the only change, would be amazing.
I think the self-illumination really makes it shine.
And if you notice too,
literally, almost.
The inner warp grill is lit up right behind the bridge there.
Yes. Oh yes.
Which is something Gene wanted to do, but restrictions at the time with the lighting and stuff, they couldn't do it. I did it on my 350 model. I think that is something that needs to be there on even the original TOS Connie, the remastered one, should have it.
Yeah, this would have brought a new movie level if they'd done it for the remasters, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It is white though, the glow there. The glow on mine I have is blue. I've seen it purple. I've seen it white. I've seen it blue. I think the blue is more subtle.
I think the white works though in context, especially with this though. But that's just, it presents a feel of energy, and because this doesn't really follow the constant, like this is its own style. This is not the engines of any of the refits, so it doesn't need to have the blue and red because it just doesn't. It's not that style.
True.
But yeah, very, very cool. And then last picture
is the first picture.
Yes, still beautiful.
Warping off into the sunset.
Yeah, but only warp factor 6. They're in no hurry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Leisurely pace. But yeah, I like it. A lot of subtle stuff and a lot of more complicated stuff. And would you have wanted this though? Big question. Would this for you have beaten out the original? If they had the budget, if this was made now, would you want this to be the original Connie?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Like I said, there's always been deficiencies as far as TOS Connie went, as far as I was concerned. But then I didn't see it fresh and new in the 60s because I wasn't born yet. So I was kind of jaded with the better special effects, as you were. So to look back and see it, you're kind of like, it could be better.
Oh, I think it is itself perfectly. Like I said, I see this as a 1.5 or 1.3, then Phase 2 is 1.5 or 1.7, and then whatever. But it makes sense in terms of continuity. This makes sense to be the Series 4 of Enterprise, or Season 4 of TOS. You know, it's now upgrading its weapons a bit because of the Klingon War, whatever, or Klingon Cold War, and then Season 5 is the Phase 2 refit, and then it upgrades to the refit. So makes sense the next evolution, because you want to add those extra weapons just because of the era you're in, and makes sense.
And self-illumination, so you don't get shot down by your own fleet.
Yes, all 12 of those Connies.
Everybody can see your registry number and know that you're on their side. I don't know.
Cool, and that is it for this week's mission briefing with another Connie, because there's a lot of Connies out there, guys. I don't think we're done yet though with them. We'll see. But yeah, any closing thoughts on this Connie?
I love it. And like I said many times in this, I would like to see it on the big screen. I'd like to see it in an animation. This one, I think that would be phenomenal. And it's a great step forward towards that refit. So
1.5. Beautiful. Like I said, that's it for this week's mission briefing. Tune in next week for another ship, another adventure, another conversation, and another... Ooh, that looks pretty. Or not. We'll see. But yeah, if you like the show and want to support us, either a one-time donation would be amazing, or a regular Patreon support via patreon.com, because they take a long time to make, guys. A lot of thought, a lot of processing, both computer and just us thinking about it. So if you can support and help us keep it going all throughout months and months and weeks to come, please do help us out. But until then, just enjoy the episodes, enjoy a huge backlog, look at the other many Connie episodes, because we've done pretty much them all, and see what you think about the Connie, and do let us know what you think of this Connie, this new Connie, in the comments below. Is it the new Connie for you? Let us know. But until next time, guys, we will see you next week for another Trek Mission briefing. This is Commander Coggins.
And Captain Foley.
See you next time.
Bye, everybody.